In the early to mid-90s, paintball was starting to take off in South America. And in Brazil, much like many other countries outside of North America and Europe, it was difficult to acquire paintball markers. To import a marker would actually cost an exorbitant amount of money, so some local companies were beginning to actually manufacture their own. The most common was the Brute pump, the Brute-O-Matic, semi-automatic, and I believe the Crossfire, which was a hammer-based pump. It was a Nelson-based pump, similar to the hammer line. But one paint gun company that actually came to the market in South America, Brazil specifically, that was a little unique and had some ingenuity of their own was Thormax. Thormax came up with this design, which is, as Sergey Levkov described it, a semi-automatic version of the NW Spitfire 2. So you might wonder, why would anyone want to make a semi-automatic version of the Spitfire? That's a good question. I don't know why, but Thormax did it. They introduced a few different models of this marker called the Speedmaster, and one Speedmaster model actually featured a vertical ASA. But imagine you have your Spitfire and you want to make it a semi-automatic. What would you do? You'd incorporate most likely some type of auto-cocking pneumatics on it, and that's exactly what Thormax did. So if we take a look at the shroud, we can actually see that we have the LPR, the switch, and the ram. And it's all incorporated into an aluminum shroud. It uses a slip fit barrel. It uses a slide trigger. The ram actually recocks the bolt on the side right here, and your trigger linkage is below. I've done a few other articles about this marker and maybe a disassembly video, but I can't remember if I ever published that. But this is just a bizarre paint gun. And as I mentioned, made out of Brazil. Speedmasters that I've seen on M. Carter Brown, I think there was one. And I believe it was written in that article that there were around 30 of these made. And they were all made in 1994, 1995. According to M. Carter Brown user Mendel, the Thormax factory or company actually closed around 1998. They made a variety of pumps. They also made the Speedmaster pump to go along with this Speedmaster. I guess this is actually called the Speedmaster Auto Pump, but we'll refer to it just as the Speedmaster in this video. Has a trigger shoe. The grip frame is, it looks like a milled, possibly cast, but it looks like milled composite. Uses a ramline style grip block, but it's not an actual ramline grip block. Has very light porting in the end of the barrel, and it uses a Nelson valve. So that is the Speedmaster by Thormax. Some Speedmasters actually had serial numbers stamped on them. This one does not. This Speedmaster came from the collection of Sergey Levkov of technical troubleshooting and Lapco. Sergey actually saw this at a World Cup or other paintball event around the mid-90s, and it was brought over by, I believe, a team from Brazil, or someone had it displayed at one of these events, and Sergey purchased it with the intention of producing some kind of semi-automatic kit for the Spitfire for the US market. But after reviewing it, he thought, nah, would probably just be a waste of time. So he didn't, but this is definitely an interesting concept and production marker that you will not see very many of.